if you haven't heard, and this is basically breaking, a lawsuit has been filed today against Elon Musk. I haven't really been able to super verify that, but this is according to Mark Brankston, who is apparently the guy that sued Alex Jones. I vaguely remember this fella. And let's see. We'll just, in his own words, this is from 8 hours ago. In 2018, I filed the first defamation lawsuits against Alex Jones, ultimately discrediting him in court. Today, I am proud to announce I have filed suit against yet another notorious disseminator of false information, the owner of this platform, Elon Musk. This new lawsuit was filed on behalf of Ben Brody, a 22-year-old recent college grad who has been forced to take action due to Musk's astonishingly reckless conduct here on Twitter, which I feel like goes without saying. I know there's a lot of people who are like free speech, First Amendment shit, but even then, you have to be actually fucking insane to see anything that Elon Musk does on here and be like, oh yeah, that's all completely above board for sure, certainly. I think even his biggest fanboys are just assuming on a day-to-day basis that he's getting away with it because he's rich, which is for the time being very much the case, I think. Mark continues, so it seems fitting to post a Twitter thread to provide some information for the media and public about the case. Here is my statement. The lawsuit alleges that on June 27th, in yet another example of his growing tendency to spread false information, Musk falsely told the world there was evidence indicating Ben Brody participated in a violent street brawl on behalf of a neo-Nazi extremist group. Musk also falsely told the world that Ben Brody's alleged participation in the extremist brawl meant the incident was probably a false flag operation to deceive the American public. Musk made these ridiculously false and damaging accusations based on a tweet he had seen from an anonymous right-wing extremist Twitter account from the revolting Groyper subculture. Oh no, Nick Fuentes and his compatriots fucking over the king of all racist South Africans. Musk amplified the accusations for 2 days before finally defaming Ben himself on June 27th. You can read the entire lawsuit posted at the bottom of the article below. We'll go over it in brief here and shortly. And I will also summarize some of the details here. The story begins on June 24th during Portland's Pride Night when multiple right-wing extremist groups, irritated and triggered by the idea of public solidarity with queer people, decided to attend the event to vent their bigotry and intimidate Pride Night celebrants. However, during the event, a street brawl developed between a group of extremist Proud Boys and rival group Rose City Nationalists, a fellow right-wing extremist gang that uses neo-Nazi aesthetics. During the brawl, 2 masked members of the Rose City Nationalists had their masks removed. Video of the incident went viral on June 25th. Numerous online influencers urged their followers to identify the unmasked members. An anonymous internet user located a photo of Ben Brody on the social media account of his Jewish fraternity at UC Riverside. Based on nothing more than a passing resemblance between Ben and the unmasked neo-Nazi, an accusation was made. The social media post for Ben's fraternity stated that Ben planned to work for the government after college. Online accusers insisted this meant Ben was participating in a false flag to create an illusion of white supremacist gangs. On June 25th, a Dogecoin-themed Twitter user showed Musk a tweet from an anonymous right-wing extremist Groyper account making the accusation against Ben Brody, which included screenshots of the fraternity's social media post stating Ben planned to work for the government. Which is the smokingest gun, I guess. Musk responded by stating, very odd, which is like what Musk says. He fucking reshares shit all the time. And it's like, huh, strange, concerning if true. Fucking absolutely like the stupidest human being on earth. I think he thinks that when he does that, like it gives him some sort of plausible deniability. Like he's not like he's just like, oh, I'm just randomly sharing anything. It could be anything. As opposed to just like people can see a fucking pattern of behavior, Elon. You do the same thing every fucking day. It's not hard to establish a paper trail. Your company is the fucking paper trail. While not yet defamation, this was already pretty bad. Musk was amplifying unvetted slander against an innocent young man being disseminated by an anonymous extremist troll and an anonymous cryptocurrency fan. As detailed in Ben's lawsuit, numerous Twitter users began immediately informing Musk that Ben was innocent. This is extremely critical. Because if you continue after you've been reasonably informed that what you're saying is probably not true, continuing after that shows the potential for actual malice. Musk responded, "Always remove their masks." This wasn't defamation either, but he's getting closer. And again, Musk was helping disseminate a bogus accusation against an innocent and increasingly terrified young man, which is just an objectively awful thing to do. They got the receipts. Will this hold? I mean, the receipts are generally going to be Twitter. This is all Twitter posts, so we'll see in the thing. It's going to come down to a jury and proving, the actual malice standard, and I think in this case a wanton disregard for the person's health and safety. We have to go through the rest of it. It's still not like terrible, but this might be enough at least to net like, a hefty settlement. I'm not sure exactly. Let's see. Also, if he is stoking up resentment with the size of his platform, Musk has a stronger duty to be restrained in his speech. The average groyper dipshit can get online and say whatever the fuck they want. In a general sense, up to and excluding death threats, actual legitimate violations of the law, things like that. But somebody like Elon Musk does have a higher standard, which he repeatedly says he knows because he constantly goes on the internet and attacks the mainstream media for being unbiased and not doing research and saying, this is the kind of thing that could destroy people. This is the sort of thing that Twitter is trying to fix. So he has already articulated through his past of being on the internet a strict knowledge of both the intensity of his platform and of appropriate behavior regarding people as a media official, which he is. He's a publisher. Literally, he owns a publishing company. That's what Twitter is. It's an internet publishing company. Or they say communications, but I mean, if he controls, in the case of Twitter, if he controls who gets fucking kicked off, who doesn't get kicked off, and arbitrarily allows people to not be kicked off for various reasons, which goes into other things. There was court filings, or at least a story released recently that I saw, I think actually today, where someone who used to work for him that was part of the branding or marketing initiatives was just like, hey, if you remove the hateful content policy and if you reinstate people like Jordan Peterson, it's going to alienate advertisers. And we need to articulate, like, is this a rule change that affects everybody or what? And Elon Musk said, no, it's not a rule change. I'm just issuing a pardon, which shows an executive level of duty to the company. I'm not saying that perfectly right, but basically he is controlling the content that his platform is publishing directly, which would make him culpable for it, particularly in regards to his own speech, which he knows and has actively, gone for spreading as far as he can. Let's see. Hold on a second. All right. We're right here. Mark continues, that same morning, Ben made an Instagram video trying to dispel the accusations. He also posted screenshots of debit card payments in Riverside. He even went as far to request video footage from a restaurant he visited at the time of the brawl, which he also posted. So Ben did an extremely good job of articulating his innocence early on in this. So, now that we're establishing a timeline, Ben is disseminating evidence to the contrary of the accusations against him, which should inherently quell the accusation, or at least put, the damper of doubt on it. So he got his own receipts. This is all stuff you'd have to go and just triple, quadruple check up on. I'm literally taking Mark Brankston at his word right here, but this is the narrative that he's giving, and we're going to be seeing this relentlessly probably going forward. Throughout the day, Twitter users continued to inform Musk that Ben Brody was innocent. There you go. And many of them provided a link to Ben's Instagram video, but it was to no avail. The following day, on June 27th, Musk threw the full weight of his celebrity behind the accusation and defamed Ben. He did it in response to a tweet from the anonymous blog Zero Hedge. Zero Hedge is a notorious blog that has trafficked in some of the ugliest smear campaigns on the internet. It is well known for the role it played in spreading false facts about the victims and parents of the Sandy Hook shooting. So Zero Hedge is an online libel site. Very common thing. In fact, as seen in the clip below, InfoWars' response to one of Zero Hedge's blog posts on Sandy Hook was the impetus of one of the lawsuits I brought against Alex Jones. Irony loves company, it seems. So yeah, in this case, whatever Zero Hedge is a bullshit ass site, right? So they're liars. It doesn't really matter because they're not necessarily part of the problem, but they are, especially considering Alex Jones' trial in precedent, they've been established as a outlet that disseminates falsehoods, outright libel more than likely. But it's difficult to shut down online sources of libel because it's like the Streisand effect, but for, evil, basically. You see that same sort of thing when you see people on the online left slandering each other, doing pedojacking accusations and stuff. That's actually unironically, that's all libel. That's all libelous behavior. To some degree, some of it's protected, but not as well as any of them think. It's really just that most of them don't have enough money or the platform needed to be, to make it viable to go after them. But, if you're somebody like Hassan and you started engaging in that pedojacketing stuff and sharing some of that, which he gets really close to, I wouldn't be surprised to see a lawsuit pop up against him because lawyers can see from the outside that he has a pretty substantial income. Most people that are internet famous, so to say, on Twitter and YouTube are basically making blue collar salaries at best. Some of them are making like generous blue collar salaries, but all of your sub 100K Andes that are like the biggest spreaders of fucking lies and libel and stuff, they're not really worth it for a lawyer specifically to go after. Although you could quite literally look up all of their information, and if you can figure out where the hell they are, you can say like, hey, you're libeling me. Here's some information on that. Like what you said isn't true. This is your cease and desist. I'm being polite about it. I know that you have content that you want to get out, but if you continue down this path and you cause me further distress and monetary harm, I am going to seek a legal injunction against you, which sounds like nerd shit, but it's something you can fucking do, and at least try to get like a restraining order or something against them from posting about you, which is perfectly plausible to do. And if you do something like that and they violate it and you take records of that and then you can go back and fuck them up actually in court and more than likely get them kicked off the fucking internet, like literally just like a court order to have them not be allowed to use the internet, which is just the beginning of the end of them having a career and being able to make money from that sort of stuff. It's not a guarantee. And some of this stuff is extremely hard to prove, but if you want to start gumming people up in the legal process, it's extremely easy to do. Go to your local courthouse and just see the fucking lawsuits that are going through civil at any given time, and you'll see the wildest shit going through, and people generally just settling out of court or backing down. You could make somebody really mad if you do that, and they might fucking stalk you to your house, so be warned. But anyway, in this case, Zero Hedge's tweet on June 27th read, "Patriot Front white supremacist unmasked as suspected Fed." Mark continues. Musk responded to the Zero Hedge tweet and declared to the world, "Looks like one is a college student who wants to join the government, and another is maybe an Antifa member, but nonetheless a probable false flag situation." So in this, he's directly named the kid with knowledge of, he knows who the fucking kid is too, right? Readers of the tweet who were familiar with the rumor immediately understood Musk was referring to Ben Brody, as I just said, by the college student who wants to join the government. In fact, numerous Twitter users replied to Musk's tweet throughout the day telling him that he was wrong about Ben. But it didn't matter. Musk's endorsement of the accusation galvanized other social media users and influencers to continue their attacks and harassment, as well as post and share accusations against Ben that will remain online forever. So this is establishment of harm, and it's an establishment of a continued harm, which would affect, if he actually does. Not only is this is an aspect of the evidence that you're going to present in court, in the form of 10 billion fucking receipts, just Twitter page, Twitter page, that kind of shit. This is also going to be something that they bring up relative to the terms of the injuriousness or the injuriousness. I think that's right. Yeah, the injury. How much injury Brody has suffered in this, So if it's going to be a impediment to his long-term employment, if he's going to suffer long-term harassment, that changes it from, something that's a smaller thing to a much larger thing. This is establishing the scale of the damages against Brody, which are going to be a subjective thing. Damages in a lot of these civil cases, particularly when it comes to speech, are almost purely subjective, and they take a lot of interpretation. My background on this, I'm not a lawyer by any stretch of the imagination, but I was a journalist for a long time, and you have to know all of this shit so that you don't libel people and end up fucking, on the wrong side of one of these attorneys. So you always protect your ass. And you write fucking retractions, apologies, you correct stuff. If you write contractions or, retractions, you write apologies. You say like, oh shit, my bad. I didn't realize his name was spelled with 2 N's instead of 1 N. That for you, and a strict end is showing that you have a dedication to being, truthful and stuff. Kind of the opposite of Musk here. What Mark is laying out in his case, you have you're setting up a sense that you're the kind of person who will go the extra mile to make sure that you're accurate in your reporting, and that you will retract stuff and you will correct stuff on the public record if evidence to the contrary is shown. So it would reduce it from, a pattern of bad behavior, which in the case of people like Alex Jones, Elon Musk, they have very well established patterns of libeling people, of not researching their own conspiracy theories, of wielding massive audiences against private individuals. In this case, one thing that's also going to go to Ben Brody's that's going to be on his side is that he, as a private individual, has an expectation of privacy, which isn't necessarily always something that's 100% codified as like, hey, you broke that and that's like you get in trouble for it. It's just an aspect of it. It's an extension of the 5th and 19th Amendments, I think. It is 5th. No, 4th. Sorry. Is it 4th? 4th is quartering. 6th, maybe. I can't remember. It's the searches and seizures, unlawful searches and seizures, and stuff like that. And the 19th Amendment, which guarantees citizenship to everybody and an equal protection of the rights in all cases, suggests that you have a standard right to privacy, even from other individuals. In your capacity as a private individual. If you haven't done anything noteworthy or newsworthy, which in this case he hasn't, especially if he has the receipts of him not being the guy in the video, literally to time codes, then he has 100% reasonable expectation of privacy. And so someone that's a multi-billionaire with a worldwide platform of billions of users aiming directly at that one private citizen, obviously, that's completely beyond the pale of an infringement of that individual's privacy. That's fucking insane, as a matter of fact, especially considering the individual in question did not do anything whatsoever to warrant additional scrutiny. It was a victim of, functionally speaking, if all of this pans out, a hate crime. Literally, he's a hate crime victim. They tried to basically do blood libel shit, say like this Jewish person who looks vaguely like this neo-Nazi person is doing a false flag, i.e. when you strike, when a Jew strikes at you, they cry out in pain. It's ancient Nazi dog whistles. So yeah, this guy is quite literally the victim of a hate crime, which Elon is using as a way to drum up interest on his own platform, and which he's expostulating on. I think also, without even looking down further in this, although we're going to read the rest of it, I wouldn't be surprised if Mark Brankston makes a note of how Twitter Blue works, because I guarantee you in all of these posts, that Elon's putting out, you're going to have a plethora of Twitter Blue users and the paid tag users who are sharing this stuff. They're retweeting it, and they are monetarily rewarded for posting stuff on Elon's site. So they know that if they repost something that Elon posts, they'll get even more engagement, which Elon will be paying them for. So it's kind of a twisted thing where anything that Elon does on Twitter is like 4 times more him doing it than like you can do any individual act as a human being yourself. Like, I can't scratch my balls with the same authority that fucking Elon Musk can lie on Twitter. It's wild because he's paying other people who are paying him to you know, like, involve themselves in this incestuous attention scheme, this gambit that always leads back to basically, you know, his own self-identity and his sense of self-worth. But I won't get into that too much. I'll see if he brings it up. Ben's lawsuit discusses the aftermath of this incident, but in short, Ben and his family were doxxed and suffered an enormous wave of harassment and threats from belligerent strangers. I'm not remotely surprised. Everybody hates a Twitter hate mob, but there's nothing quite as bad as a Twitter hate mob run by fucking groypers and QAnon people, because they are actively pursuing the most dangerous course of action against individuals. You're talking about literal fucking Nazis and conspiracy theorists who, as part of a larger, you know, cabal of them, and even if it's not QAnon, it's QAnon adjacent fucking conspiracy theorists. You know, these are the kind of people that kicked in a fucking pizza company's door on the slightest of evidence and hold up a fucking pizza place hostage because they saw somewhere on the internet that there's children in the basement without doing any research ahead of time. And so, you know, everybody in America, you're not going to get away from a jury. There's going to be no reasonable expectation that you can find a jury that does not know all of this stuff here. Cornell is late. Oh, hey, that means we had other people waiting. Hey, welcome back to the stream, Cornell. Talking about Elon Musk. Is being sued by the guy that ripped Alex Jones for, what is it, like $250 million or some obscenely large amount of money. But yeah, to continue, doing a bit better. I don't know. I can't tell. My voice is worse by far, but it doesn't seem to be degrading anymore. I don't know if that makes sense. So I don't seem to be like losing additional voice. But I don't have a fever or anything. I am pretty fucking tired. But I also put in a full day at work, so I guess we'll see what happens. Let's see. Mark Brankston continuing. Being defamed by someone as famous as Musk was an utterly terrifying experience, and it has left Ben stunned, disoriented, and worried about the consequences on his future. This is what I was talking about earlier. In the weeks following Musk's statements, it was apparent to Ben that his reputation had been catastrophically damaged. Again, we're going back to damages. And that a huge number of people believed he was either a neo-Nazi or a provocateur in a psyop to commit political terrorism on American soil, which, as a Jewish person, is and carries obviously an additional stigma. Even apart from the damage to his reputation, Ben and his family were put through weeks of terror due to Musk's recklessness, and now Ben finds himself depressed, freaked out, and mentally distraught at the crucial moment when he exits college and enters his career path. Musk was informed through his attorneys on August 9th of the circumstances supporting Ben's claim for defamation, as well as Ben's distress that Musk had not taken any steps to retract his accusation, which he fucking, of course he wouldn't. In response, Musk refuses to issue a retraction, declined to apologize, and will not engage in any discussion whatsoever about Ben's defamation claim. In fact, Musk's attorney indicated Musk will seek to shift fees if Ben attempts a lawsuit. So basically, Musk can't say anything at this point with the threat of the lawsuit hanging over them. At this point, with a lawyer already looking at him, admitting he was wrong outside of a legal document, like if they sat down at proffer, you know, and said like, hey, right now, out of court, you admit 100% that you are wrong, you issue a full retraction, and in your capacity as Twitter head, it has to hit at least as many people or triple or quadruple that, whatever, as as your lies initially hit, so that you can establish that you fucked up on this and blah, 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 blah. So if you're not going to specifically do that, which I think Musk doesn't want to do because he's a prideful fucking moron, and the guy does not listen to legal advice, like Alex Jones doesn't listen to legal advice, like Donald Trump doesn't listen to legal advice. They just pay lawyers to make things go away until the lawyers can't do that anymore, and then the whole shit castle falls down on top of them. I wouldn't be surprised remotely if that's about to happen to Elon Musk. Of course, you never know what's going to happen in a court of law, and I'm not an expert on this shit. Like I said, I have a pretty strong journeyman's understanding of this shit. And but yeah, in that case, he's not going to say it out loud this deep into it, because there's no way Mark Brankston is going to fucking settle on just like an apology at this point. He's putting money into this. He's building a case. That first meet was the like, hey, we're about to punch you in the fucking dick and balls. Like, how do you feel about that? And the best that their attorney could come back with was, we'll treat it like a slap. We'll try to dump fees on you, whatever the fuck. So basically, like, they'll try to say that it was a frivolous lawsuit, which if a half of this is true, it's not only not frivolous, it's going all the way to fucking court. Half of it is true. That's beyond the pale of what constitutes and does not constitute a frivolous lawsuit. So there's no way they're getting fees. No way. Unless there's a county somewhere where Musk has paid off top to bottom every single person, and they can get this taken all done in that one county, which I think generally a lot of people don't like Elon Musk, and everywhere he works is full of political actors who fucking hate him. So, you know, if he has to go to court in San Francisco, I don't know what the judges are like there, but they're definitely not going to be as lenient to him in general as I think other ones are. But then again, I could be wrong. It could be some Silicon Valley shit. But that's political guessing. You know, that shit could be this way or that. It doesn't really. I don't fucking know. But yes, he's definitely not going to admit it, because if he just admits it online, then we still have that's basically an admission of culpability, and we're past the point where Elon Musk has already done extreme amount of damage to this kid. At least as far as the argument on behalf of the plaintiff, he's done an extreme amount of damage. Admitting that you were wrong at this point is just kind of putting a nail in your own coffin. They're going to take it all the way to court, and more than likely try to wriggle it. There might be a strong possibility that Elon Musk thinks that his First Amendment protections keep him from fucking defamation lawsuits, which is what happens to a lot of people. And they've established, basically because of the way that his platform works and because of his popularity and because of his, relationship to the platform and to the public and to media in general, he has basically no cause to say that he didn't know better in any way, shape, or form in all of this. And he's been sued for lying before. I can't remember how it ended, but this was actually one of the first times where I was just like, well, Elon Musk is kind of a piece of shit. All the way back in like 2014 or whatever, when he got butthurt about sending those Thai kids the fucking submersible that wouldn't work. He's like, oh, I whipped this up. It's real quick. It's just like a little tank. You can float down there and save the kids. And like all the divers are like, that won't work. And you wasted a lot of our time pressuring, I guess, the Thai government to come and like deliver it. Or I think it was Thailand. And then he called the fucking head diver who was leading the rescue operations like a pedophile. And that guy sued him. And I hope he fucking obliterated him on that note. I wonder if he won. I should look that up. Elon Musk pedo guy lawsuit. He won that defamation case. Los Angeles jury finds no defamation. I guess that one's pretty light, but also I think that one was probably just popped right off the chest. And we go back a long way. This is back, he was just a Tesla founder. Let's see. Decision was not a good verdict for society. So yeah, but this is under considerably different situation cases. I'd have to look through this whole thing, but we don't want to go through. We don't want to relitigate all of that. But he does have a history of lying, obviously, and being very flippant with his language. Which, when he was more of a private citizen, when he was just the head of Tesla and occasionally on Joe Rogan, creates a considerably different environment than the one that he's in right now. Because at that time, he was not the head of one of the largest information platforms on earth. Let's see. So Mark continues. In other words, if Ben ever tries to seek redress in court for what happened to him, he must risk having the wealthiest man on the planet seek to collect fees against him. Ben is undeterred. He understands that a lawsuit is the only way he will be able to truly clear his name or change Musk's behavior. He's undeniably brave to take on this challenge. I'll be posting updates about the progress of the case on this Twitter account when I can. I'm also going to try to answer some questions I anticipate some of you may have. For example, can Ben prevail if Musk didn't identify him by name? Yes, the law has always recognized this. That is absolutely the case. Insinuation is perfectly fine. You don't have to name people directly to get in trouble for libel and stuff. There's certain libel cases. I'm not going to bring up I can't remember them offhand. But basically, like if you go and you put like the murderer, like that over the top of somebody's fucking like nameplate, and they work as, whatever in this public capacity, and you destroy their life by continuously putting up this sign, the murderer, then you're still culpable for libel and defamation and shit, because you're like actively harassing this person and trying to destroy them. So you don't have to name them specifically. You just have to insinuate that they're the ones that you're alluding to, Shit. Love poking fun at Drinkers Goofy Takes. Did I miss that part already? No. We're doing breaking news at the beginning, so that's going to be coming after the end of this. They say defamation occurs when there is a reasonable inference that some people who read the statement understood that it referred to the plaintiff. I should probably just let the lawyer describe this, but he's describing it accurately, and it's nice to know that I'm passing my own quiz in my head. In the replies to Musk's June 27th tweet, it's clear that numerous readers understood the tweet to refer to Ben Brody. Many readers were already familiar with the rumor about Ben, and they understood Ben was the college student, quote, who wants to work for the government, which is very, very blatant. It unironically 100% that guy. In fact, it is not even necessary to prove Musk intended to refer to Ben, though he obviously did. It is enough if the reader correctly, or even mistakenly, but reasonably, concludes it was intended to refer to the plaintiff. See restatement second of torts 564. Yeah, this is all stuff I basically, I cannot recite any of this case law off the top of my head. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but this is all shit from class. It's bog standard. Really like bog standard shit. I think in the case of the pedo guy tweet deal, because of different jurisdictions and where shit was happening and all that kind of stuff, and they probably just didn't put it together tightly enough. And this is just a much bigger case in this. But yeah, this is all the stuff. It's nice to know that I had all of the right information in my head to avoid libel. Because I've been accused of libel as any fucking journalist who works for more than like 5 seconds. People are like, that's fucking libel. I'm like, no, you just did the thing. And they're like, yeah, but it's bad for my business. And it's like, yeah, it's bad for your business because you did the thing. That's what my job is to report on that. That's not libel. It's fucking true. Truth is an immediate cure for libel. And that's one thing they tell you, is that the second you say something, or we write something in the case of libel, this defamation is, I'm articulating this through the lens of libel. It's going to be slightly different for defamation. It's going to be slightly different for slander. They're all a little wiggity woogity. And I'm talking about this in broad First Amendment perspectives. There might be local laws that are specifically finicky or broader or more narrow in this or that region. But because so much of this is covered under constitutional law, on the ground, generally you can't get particularly specific to the point where it would change the entire nature of everything I'm discussing, which is why they taught us that way. So basically you could work across America, and as long as you followed like the golden laws, like the golden rules of like libel and all of that stuff, then you wouldn't be pretty much 100% or 99.9 repeating % shielded from liability. And that is when you commit libel, written, slander, spoken. Defamation is defamation's a slightly different thing. I can't remember how to articulate it the correct way, but when you do it, the second you say something, you've done the thing. You've done defamation. You've done libel. Even if it's true, they can say like, you libeled me. So always keep that in mind, is that their accusation comes before your proof of innocence. And that it's also, it's civil. So it's not like beyond the shadow of a doubt. It's like in a reasonable, like would it be reasonable to think, is the case for civil law. Civil law is much, much looser about what can happen by the end of it. And so you've already committed libel the second you say an injurious thing to somebody or about somebody, or defamation or whatever. But if it's actually the truth, it's 100%. It does not matter. You are forgiven. You can't be held liable for it, and you can countersue for fees and stuff like that. Slap suits are a way to try to accuse people of libel and shit like that, and telling the truth is a way to reverse and try to get your fees back. And sometimes in certain cases, I think you can countersue. I can't really remember. That's a little bit beyond the pale for me, but yeah, as long as you tell the truth, you have to prove to some degree that there's harm and damages have been done. So if I just say like, oh yeah, this guy down the street, I'm pretty sure he shit his pants, and I know it's not true, but he had like a brown paint stain on his butt cheek, whatever, right? If he hears that and gets mad at me, it's a lie. It's about him in front of people. Other people heard him, but there's no malice intended, no significant malice or actual malice, and there's no real damages that could be inferred. Like he would have to say like, oh yeah, that one time I was made fun of, it hurt my feelings so bad I need $500,000 or something. Most juries, that's fucking insane. So it has to hit that actual malice standard, which exists in America, doesn't exist other places. I kind of mix those up. It has to do damages, and then it also has to hit the actual malice standard, which it kind of goes, they kind of hold hands to a degree. So those three things, if any one of them is missing, basically the libel case usually fucking falls apart. Libel is the easiest to prove, so it's always the one that you should keep in mind, because libel is the easiest one to do. Libel is you created any record of other people's actions, or any record, which is any action that creates a record. Basically, if you film a video, if you write a post, if you write an article, if you say something and it's recorded in audio, that's the creation of a record. This is the creation of a record. That's libel. Slander is spoken. Hearsay and stuff is slander. And then defamation is kind of like a combination of the two. It's the legitimate, like, injurious acts against somebody's reputation. It's highly specific. If you can get somebody on defamation, you're a fucking absolute beast. And this guy's probably the guy to do it. But I'm going to continue. Looks like in this contest means the information I have seen indicates, as the Supreme Court held in Milkovich, if a speaker gives their personal assessment of facts, they do not disclose the source of their information, they are liable if their conclusion is false. So in this case, like, I heard it from somebody, but you can't say who you heard it from, then the natural assumption is that you probably made it up. So that's a bad information pass. So if you hear something, that's part of the actual malice thing. If you hear something and it's wrong, but you didn't intentionally say the wrong thing. So, if it's like, that's the guy that shits his pants, you heard that from me, I lied about the dude. You can't be in trouble because you heard a rumor. I can be in more trouble for spreading the rumor, but you can't be necessarily held, as liable because you're like, oh, I fucking heard that lie from him. Once you've been informed otherwise, which they've established with Musk, then that's no longer a protection for you because you know the truth of the matter. And in fact, because you know the truth and you're continuously lying, now you're being extremely injurious to this person. I think I'm using the word injurious right. I hope I am. Hold on. Just give me a second. Yes, okay, I am being injurious. All right, fuck. For this reason, a speaker cannot insulate themselves from liability by using words like I suspect, I believe, it appears that, or in my opinion, which is what, like I said earlier in this, fucking Elon Musk says, oh, interesting if true. Oh, wow. Concerning. All of those things are him actively spreading rumors. His assumptions of this, that's not a legitimate protection because he's sharing this. So once you go back to the source and all that stuff, this is shit they'll hammer out in court. That can be really bad for him. Importantly, there's no mention of Ben wanting to work for the government anywhere in the Zero Hedge tweet or blog post. Musk acquired information elsewhere, and he did not disclose where in his June 27th tweet. So Musk did independent research. In this case, Musk did independent research and came up with his own summation. His final statement is a collection of known facts and unknown facts. And where the unknown facts can't come from is how they're going to solidify that Musk actually researched and formed an opinion on this, potentially coming in contact with the truth of the matter, and purposefully continued down a path where he's libeling this person. Readers of Musk's tweet could not assess the quality of Musk's source, which in truth was a weirdo extremist Kuiper. What if I based Mark Brankston? Which was a neo-Nazi. They simply had to take his word for it that he had seen information supporting the rumor that Ben was the unmasked neo-Nazi. Question: will Musk really try to have the lawsuit dismissed as frivolous and seek legal fees against Ben? I don't know. Maybe. Who knows at this point? Literally. He could do it. He might not do it. If you try to dismiss stuff, if you waste the court's time, let me just put it this way. If you waste the court's time, the court gets mad. This is something you should know if you ever have to go to court. It does not matter if you are there as a plaintiff, as a defendant, as an attorney, as a bailiff, as a member of the jury, as a stenographer, as a member of the court gallery, as a guy in the hallway making too much noise. If you waste the court's time, the court will be fucking pissed at you. As a just general thing. And there's a lot of things that you can do, legally speaking, right? That that you can kind of like slow down the process. You can fuck with the courts. As we progress into this new millennium, a lot of those things are becoming less. People know that it's happening, and so juries now have a considerably higher knowledge of court procedures, and they have pre-existing biases against certain actions because they watch, criminal court shows, they watch Legal Eagle, and so they have pre-existing biases that they did not have 30 or 40 years ago when people used to be like, well, you can kind of get away with anything as long as you have the right lawyer. That's not the case as often anymore. And a lot of the shitheel tactics that, the Musks of the past, the oil barons and shit might have used are going to be not as viable tactics in this day and age. I can get into specifics and stuff, but trying to like massively delay court dates by and basically making it impossible for recovery to happen by making the attorney's fees for the hourly rates be higher than what the thing, like shit like that is hard to do. Just threatening people fucking with bullshit slap lawsuits, stuff like that. Not only does it not play in front of juries, it also plays less and less in front of judges these days, who are becoming extra conscious of the fact that the American public is rapidly losing faith in the court system, both on the right and left side of the aisle, all the way up to the Supreme Court level. The Supreme Court used to be held in the highest esteem by most people in America. I feel like the faith, if you've polled people on their faith in the Supreme Court, not less maybe the lower judiciaries, in like the early 2000s, people would be like, oh yeah, that's like, I don't know, like 95%, like they don't get anything wrong, right? And then nowadays, that's completely different. And so if you try to do fuck around shit, especially if you do try to do fuck around shit in front of juries or in the public, judges might make you find out. And if you upset a judge early in the process by trying to get, by stretching out the time that they have to spend on your case, by adding bullshit on top of bullshit to try to, dissuade somebody from pursuing justice against you, by using by basically metagaming the courts, they can get pretty fucking pissed. And in civil, that's especially dangerous, because in civil, the judge's opinions on a case can be the entirety of the case, functionally speaking. Civil courts are much less like cut and dry than criminal courts. So that's really the maybe, who knows? Like I said earlier, this seems like if he's got half of this in receipts, no judge is going to they're not going to outright dismiss this unless it's a weirdo fucking judge. It would be strange. I look forward to covering this in the future, basically. But Ben does know that unless he attempts to hold Musk accountable for such a reckless false statement, many people will continue to believe the accusation or view him with a cloud of suspicion. And Ben knows that unless he takes action, Musk is likely to do the same thing to someone else. And he already does the same thing to other people. And it will be sooner rather than later. There will be no incentive for this behavior to change. So now Ben turns to the courts to uphold a very simple concept. What Elon Musk has been doing to Ben and others is not tolerable. Agree 100%. Win or lose, it is necessary that Ben take a stand and have his case heard in the justice system, regardless of Musk's power or wealth. Musk will not stop until someone stops him. It seems that responsibility now falls upon a shy 22-year-old whose life has been shaken by Musk's reckless conduct. I am honored to assist him. You can read the entire lawsuit here. I'm fucking stoked to see this. This is if you follow the link at the top, you can actually look at the entirety of his lawsuit. We are filing. So we're filing in District Court of Travis County, Texas. Benjamin Brody versus Elon Musk. This is the original petition. So these are the preliminary statements. I won't read through all this. This is going to be basically a lot of either legal kind of mumbo jumbo-y type language, and also just all the shit we just talked about. The jurisdiction venue, though. The damages sought in this case exceed the minimum jurisdictional limits of Travis County District Court's venue is proper in Travis County, Texas, because suit for damages for defamation may be brought in the county in which the plaintiff resided at the time of the accrual of the cause of action, or in the county filing or the domicile. Okay, so yeah, this is all just... Yeah, this basically kind of re-articulates a bunch of the points that I made earlier. Betcha a signed dollar, it's true. Oh no, this actually might be good. They brought up the pedo guy again stuff too. And so they're already attacking former case law. He's got tweets in the body of this. This is a very impressive legal document. We've got a lot of receipts here. Musk's reckless accusation of child sex abuse, false statements about Haraldur Thorleifsson, March 8th, 2023, Twitter employee with muscular dystrophy. Oh, I remember this. Everything's going to come back to bite him. That's what everybody's been saying, and he refuses to believe it. And so this is the case in question, I believe, the neo-Nazi mass shooting. Oh, no, this is a different one. The Bellingcat guy, and yeah, then they did that to them. So they're really establishing, this is the guy, this is the Tim Pool shooter, Tim Pool. I'm drawing your audience here. Remember when a neo-Nazi was inspired by your podcast to shoot a bunch of people to death? That's on your conscience until the day you die. I hope it fucking weighs on you. You know the way out. The shooter's social media profile also included memes reflecting his affinity for white supremacy and far-right ideologies. The following. Yup. Basically. I could read that fucking forever. But basically, this is just very interesting. Very interesting. Going to be fascinating going forward. That guy's already... This is a full petition. It could go a few different ways from here, depending on kind of what happens in a general sense. I know that sounded like gibberish. So basically, three things in a functional speaking sense could happen right now. The judge could dismiss the case out of hand. Depending on what Travis County, that's this district court. So I think that is federal rules. I can never fucking remember. So that's district though. So yes, that's federal. So that's a major civil case. So, this will be based on federal rules. So I guess the state of Texas probably their state rules won't matter. This is where I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. But basically, if the judge finds for some reason that the evidence does not support the plaintiff's claim, I think in this case it very much does, at least to the degree that he's hitting every stipulation for defamation. He has receipts for it. He's proven all those basic three things. Then yeah, you're definitely going to go to court with this. But a judge could potentially just dismiss it and then it's gone. You can dismiss stuff with or without prejudice. If he dismisses it without prejudice, it could just be a procedural type thing, and then you can come back. If he dismisses it with prejudice, it means it was meritless and it's not to be brought before the court again. And I don't see anything like that happening, even if Texas really likes Elon Musk for all the jobs that he brings there. Federal courts don't give a fuck. It's a whole different ballgame. Every federal court person, they're basically like little gods living in their fucking towers in major cities. They're very powerful judges, and they tend not to fear much. So unless that guy's completely on the take, I don't see it getting dismissed. From there, they may go to a settlement. It could be that. I don't think they'll settle just because Elon Musk is who he is. I think he will always try to push a court case. That's just the vibe I get from him. But basically, if it's like Fight Club, if A plus B doesn't equal C, then the total cost of a recall, then we don't do one. It's that sort of thing. So if they think that going to court and doing an entire trial with Elon Musk grade lawyers, they're probably fucking something like insane $800 to $1,200 an hour per lawyer, fucking staff of like 20 people working on the entire thing. Who knows? And this will probably actually all be coming out of Twitter's pocket, unironically. You're looking at an insane amount of money. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even a fucking like flat $1 million by the end of one of these things, if it goes on for a very long time. Each time you see a courtroom scene and you see a lawyer in there, everyone at that table is getting paid an astronomical amount of money per billable hour. So like, even when they're not in there, their presence in regards to that case is like $400, $800, $1,200, whatever the fuck, dollars per hour. He might have a retainer. The retainer might not actually cover, or it might cover a full trial case. So if they think that, settling out of court, which would be the best in his best interest in general, I think, considering the amount of information this guy has, but he probably won't go for it. Then, if he settles out of court, that's because they think the settling out of court is going to be less than the cost of a total trial, which is going to be the cost of all the lawyers plus damages at the end. And we've seen damages. I can't remember. I think Alex Jones, court case. I can't remember if it was in Connecticut or if it was in Texas, but Alex Jones isn't out of Texas. So, the massive amount of damages that were awarded to Alex Jones, that's the kind of fucking cut that he's going to be going for in this case. The scope of the damages, I think, would probably warrant that. Some obscene amount of money, $155 million. I wouldn't be surprised. It's a different day and age, 2018 to 2023. Elon Musk is not a likable person. He's not liked in most of the circles that he gets around, even as a person. So he probably does not have a lot of friends in the court. I wouldn't be surprised. More than likely, given the successes of this attorney before and Elon Musk's culpability in something like this as no longer a private citizen who's like a billionaire but still a private citizen, to being the head of a major information company that's being sued for defamation with all of the receipts there. I would say probably settling is going to be his best bet, but I don't think he'll do it. So I look forward to the jury trial. Hopefully it'll be televised and we'll cover it then.
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like